Hello and welcome to Thrive TV, the five keys to success. I'm so excited to have you all here for today's show and also introduce my lovely guest. Today, we're talking about five keys to overcoming public speaking anxiety. And what a great topic it is, as I know so many of you are always so keen to do more public speaking and share your message with the world. So, if this is of interest, make sure you stay with us till the end. And my name is Raimonda Jan, and I'll be your host for today's show. So, my lovely guest is Devin Sarno. Hi, Devin. How are you? Where are you joining us from?
Hi, I am coming to you from Denver, Colorado. It is a deeply gloomy, rainy day, but I'm excited to be here and talk public speaking.
I know this is a great passion of yours to support others with public speaking. How long have you been doing this now?
Oh gosh, since I was born, but officially I have been a public speaking coach since 2012. And before that, I was in the theater space, comedy, live improv, sketch comedy. So basically, anything to do with the stage, I have always been in love with and active with. But public speaking specifically, about 12 years.
12 years. Wow, amazing. And I know you've been, so I want to introduce you officially to our audience today and kind of delve into
Yeah,
this topic. I can't wait because this is really one of my favorite topics, and just to know
exactly.
that we can support others with something that is, I think, really personal for a lot of people. I think it's going to be amazing. So, my lovely guest today is Devin Sarno, who is US National Champion Public Speaking Coach, a performer, and a founder of Parlay Communications. And with over 15 years of experience, she blends her love for live performance, improv, and comedy to help others find their unique voice. So, her engaging, passionate, and compassionate coaching style empowers individuals and CEOs to express themselves confidently and authentically. And today we're talking about the five keys to overcoming public speaking anxiety. Devin, why so many people are so afraid of speaking?
I think it's as simple as judgment that in our lives we are so key to avoid even the semblance of judgment. We just like constantly want to be seen as perfect, that we have it all together, and nothing is more revealing than putting ourselves in the spotlight and getting up. Even if it's just like a boardroom and you're standing and everyone else is sitting, suddenly we become so aware that other people have opinions about us or could have opinions about us. And I think that's very vulnerable. That we oftentimes, when we're sitting in our lives, when we're like behind the screen, so to speak, we don't think about it. We don't think about that other people could have opinions. But as soon as we stand up and start talking, it becomes the forefront of our minds that, like, oh my gosh, other people see me. What do they think about me? And so I want to help people get over that little hump there because that's happening no matter what. So might as well step into your power and speak.
Yeah, and speaking is such a powerful tool, and how have you seen other people use speaking in their professional careers, businesses, etc., that really propel them to more success?
Oh, in so many ways. I've had the fortune of being able to watch students first do this. I am a competitive public speaking coach, so I get kids sometimes coming in at 14 and they're so nervous and anxious, and even like a basic assignment, it was causing anxiety attacks practically. And then by the time they've spent 4 years with me, standing up and talking for 10 minutes completely memorized is not even a thought. They can do it in their sleep. And they do it confidently and win awards. And so watching that transformation is so powerful. But I think more in the business world, I think especially I work with engineers in the expert witness industry. And it is so cool to watch these people who have PhD level degrees and they're so intelligent in what they're doing, and the work that they're doing is so unique and interesting, but they've never been taught how to public speak because that's just not a part of the curriculum in college when you're going for these high level science degrees. And to watch them suddenly realize that there's more to it than just being knowledgeable, that if you want someone to actually understand what you're saying, there are things that you need to do on top of just being intelligent and having the content. And so to watch them bridge that gap and then be excited is really powerful. And I love seeing it happen when that like light bulb clicks.
Yeah. I don't know from experience. I mean, I went from having definitely deep anxiety of speaking and just being really conscious of my voice and speaking to becoming a speaker. And I remember after running some events, because at first I started with running events, not even speaking, I'd be so thrilled. I would be just on such a high emotion after that. I was like, I want to keep doing this. And just the knowing of how much you can transform other people's lives just by sharing your message, your knowledge on stage. It's not only transformational for yourself, which has been for me, but also for other people who get to experience you on stage.
I think it's like a runner's high. I think that's what people don't realize is that when you get into like public speaking or performing of some kind, that it's like how athletes will talk about like the joy of winning or like a runner's high, that like performing and public speaking has that same like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. I can't wait to do it again once you get over that first step of anxiety.
Right in the five keys. I know you got secrets to share, so let's just dive right
Yeah,
in.
perfect. So my five keys kind of build on each other. It's not that they have to be done in a specific order, but the idea is that once you start with one and keep adding the others, by the end, hopefully you'll be in a more confident position to go on and take on anything from a basic sales pitch to maybe facing your executive board and or standing on a stage and having that opportunity. These keys don't really matter about what the audience is, it's more about how you approach it. So that's why I think they're so relevant today, is because you can use it in any area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. I love to hear that. So let's start with number one.
All right. So first, when you are public speaking, the first key is that you need to have passion for what your subject matter is. And so I know that might sound a little bit silly when you're talking about maybe a sales pitch or something in the business world. A lot of times that's super data driven, but I think passion is more about intentionality. So like you want to get this information out there. So you got to find what about it is passion. If you get the opportunity to choose what you're speaking about, make sure that you're doing something that matters to you, not just what you think your audience wants to hear, because there's always like a connecting point, right? Things that matter to you, that matter to the world. So find the center of that Venn diagram. But if you're in a business setting and you don't really get to choose, you're like, I have to sell this product or I have to sell this data set. Remember why you are out there is usually you're solving a problem for the people you're selling to or the people that you're presenting to. They have a problem and you are passionate about solving it through this data set or through this information. And so kind of diving back into those original goals of what you wanted to do with your life and what you wanted to do in this moment and finding some sort of fire there can really help. So that would be my first key is find your passion.
Yeah, I think it makes such a difference when you're listening to someone who's really passionate about that subject. The whole experience, just their passion almost lights the audience up as a result. And yeah, that's a great tip to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you watch somebody talk about something that they're passionate about, even if you have no relevancy to it, like maybe you're like, I've never heard of that before, some niche topic, you kind of start to wonder, like, am I missing out? Should I be really into this? Because that passion is what we're all looking for. I think we all want to be set on fire in our lives. And so when you watch somebody else who already had that fire burning, we're all reaching for it, right? We all want a piece of that spark.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the second thing on your list?
So the second thing kind of comes off of passion. So once you have that passion, number two, you need to find intention. So the biggest drawback that I see from public speakers, competitive public speaking people, or Anyone who gets up in a space and is presenting is they get too center focused. They're kind of navel gazing. They're not thinking about their audience because if it was about us, we could just get on a camera like this and talk, and no one would ever need to see it. You could stand in your room and talk. The point of public speaking is involving an audience.
Mm.
But a lot of times we think too much about what I need out of this, not what they need out of this. And so we frame it all about protecting ourselves or making ourselves look good or some version of that. But really, what you need to be looking at is what do I want my audience to take away from this presentation? What is my goal? So, if your goal is to sell them something, well, then you want them to want to buy it. If your goal in a C-suite type of presentation is to get them to understand where the business is at or why certain actions were taking place, well, then you need to present them the argument for this so that they can accept it willingly. If you're on stage and you're trying to inspire people, then you need to make sure you're giving them something that they can be inspired by. But if you don't know what you want your audience to walk away with or to do, like what action you want them to take, then you're just kind of aimlessly speaking into the wind. So after you find your passion, the second step is to find the intention of the speaking event itself.
Yeah, definitely find. I always remind actually speakers, it's not about us, it's about the audience that we're here to serve. And it is really about the audience, even though I think that's where the anxiety comes from as well, making it about ourselves. But when you take that attention away from yourself and focus on your audience and what you want the intention to be, it takes the pressure off. It really does. And you kind of get to relax and enjoy it.
100%. I also think there's this wild reality. I don't even know what to call it. It's like magic. The audience can sense it.
Yeah.
We sense when someone's up on stage doing it for them as opposed to doing it for us. And so when somebody is up on stage and it's really more about them, there's this distancing and you feel less drawn to them, you feel less connected to them. And then when it shifts and you see someone up on stage and their goal is really to help the audience or to connect with the audience or to make sure that the audience walks away with something valuable, the audience is actually less judgmental. We don't know why, but we believe you more. And so when you make mistakes or you fumble your words or something goes wrong, we're so much more gentle with the people that are up there trying to do it for us. And it's just a mindset shift. It's not really something that we can actionably define, but we know it when we see it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's do number three. What's the number three on our
So
list?
number three is the one that I think people avoid the most. It's simple. It's practice. So often people think that I'm just going to get up there and I'm going to just do it because it's speaking, it's talking, or they think that other public speakers don't practice, that it's just this natural gift. And in some cases, that's true. I mean, I think that a lot of people who get comfortable with public speaking and they're presenting all the time can get up and wing it. But
Mm.
what they don't see is the years of practice that led to that point.
Yeah.
Just like any athletic endeavor, people had years of practice to get where they are. So when you have a big presentation coming up, practice. And don't practice by sitting at your computer and reading through what you need to say. You need to stand on your feet or you need to put yourself in the physical position that you're going to be in and you're going to try to act out what you'll say. This is going to make a huge difference because most of the time it's not what you're saying that makes people nervous. It's those transitional moments in between. So you have a bunch of content and now you need to get to the next section. And that transitional linking moment is where people start to fumble. They don't know how to end one point, transition, and begin another point. And so in those gaps, that's where anxiety rears up. That's where we start to fumble. That's where all of a sudden you start to doubt yourself, or you go off on another tangent because you weren't really sure how to get yourself to the next section. And now all of a sudden you're over time. So those are things that if you practice, you can figure out how to get from A to B to C and with confidence.
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't know that if you didn't practice.
Yeah, I find this is the funny thing when I find that when people are nervous, they just talk, talk, and then they come off, they're like, I don't know what I said. Was it good? And I'm like,
Right.
that's not the way to nail your talk because if you allow your nerves to take it over in your speech, you kind of doom because you don't know what's coming out of your mouth. And if you haven't practiced, you don't know.
100%. And it kind of goes back to this idea of like maybe what you said wasn't bad and maybe it was relevant, but if you go back to intention and passion, was it on message? Or
Yeah.
was it like, you know what I mean? So that's why I say they build on each other because if you know your intention is to have them do XYZ action, when you're practicing, you can catch those tangential off streams of thought and go, you know what? They're not bad information, but are they driving the intention that I want? Probably not, or maybe not as much as I need them to in this amount of time. And you can say, okay, well, I'm going to cut that off because it doesn't drive to my intention
Yeah.
or it's not a part of my passion.
One thing I want to say, that's one thing that a professional speaker should never do is go over time. But if you allow your mind to run on a tangent, what's going to happen? You're going to go over time. And it's a really bad look. If you want to be a professional speaker, never ever go over time.
Yeah. And also we have our audience's attention spans are so small these days. You gotta be quick. You gotta get in there.
Yeah, you're going
So
to
that was
say your
number three.
point.
Yep. And so then number three easily leads to number four, which that key is revision. So
Mm.
through passion and intention, and then you practice what you want to say, you're going to realize that some of that needs editing. And if you didn't do those three steps before, you wouldn't know to go back and revise. And the key element there, depending on what level of importance this speaking event is to you is maybe get it when you practice, get it in front of someone so they can give you feedback and then take it and revise and edit.
Mm.
Don't think you have to get it right on the first pass. And that's what I think so many people think is I'm going to write out this presentation or I'm going to outline this presentation and I'm going to get it right on the first time. I that never happens. I've had the honor of coaching national champion speakers and we took a year of practicing, revising, editing, putting it out there and over again to create those pieces that eventually went on that stage to win. We revise and we revise. So never think you're going to have to get it on the first time. It doesn't happen.
No, I think you're so right. It's like if you want to do something really well, the best speakers, they don't get it right from the first time. And they test the message over and over again to see whether is this going to land? You don't know. Like you're gonna try and land a joke. You don't know if it's gonna land. So you gotta
Yeah,
try.
yes, exactly. Which I think is such a perfect lead in, like that idea of a joke is such a perfect lead in for the number five. And the number five idea is risk. So you absolutely have to be willing at some point to take a risk. And so doing things like testing a joke is a risk, but that is the only way to actually get out there and see success because you can practice, you can
Mm.
revise, you can have intention, you can have passion, but at some point you're gonna have to jump. And so if you do all of those things, if you set yourself up with passion, intention, practice, and revision, that risk is going to be so much more calculated. But it still is a risk at the end of the day. And I never want to put people in this false sense of security that, like, at some point, you are going to just feel amazing and it's just never going to be scary. There's always going to be scary moments. And so that is where that risk comes in, and go for it, because out of the risk, some amazing things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's always a risk in life, whether you're
Yeah.
gonna do something or not do something. You may fail, but I think what you're gonna find from speaking that it's truly just so rewarding, so exciting, and you're always gonna learn from it. So even if it's not going to go well, the only way to learn is for you to try something and you'll be better next time. So just get out there.
Yeah. And risk can be fun. I think we always like say risk is that it's going to be, we're so scared of risk in our lives and we're trying to be risk averse and risk management and all these things. But risk also is, where joy comes in life. So notice where I said like that runner's high at the beginning. Well, you can't get the runner's high if you don't get out there and run. And that's the same thing with speaking and presenting and all of these things. If you don't take the risk, that reward will never be at the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been great, and I think our audience can bring out so many little gems. So, we've covered 5 things to overcoming speaking anxiety. We talked about passion, intention, practice, revision, and risk. And just get out there and do it because that is the main pain point. Devin, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, if you would like to work with me, you can check me out on my website. It is parlaycommunicators.com. And I have a contact page there. And if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to send you a toolkit to reduce anxiety while public speaking for free, because I don't believe just working with me is the only way to reduce anxiety, although I'd love to work with anyone who wants to. I think it's so important that everybody has that toolkit in their arsenal. So I would love to give you something to help you for free. And then I am on all the social media platforms. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, under my name, Devin Sarno. You can find me there. And I'd love to connect and chat about public speaking with you.
Amazing. That's super helpful. So, to all of our audience, do make sure you connect with Devon across her social media channels. Let her know you watch this and find her contact details to get in touch if you're serious about getting out there and speaking, pursuing that as a speaking career, or maybe just building your confidence. Get in touch with our lovely guest today. And if you felt inspired, maybe motivated by this talk, make sure you share with others who might find it really useful. I hope you enjoyed it today, and we look forward to seeing you on another show.